given in marriage, but those considered part in that age in the resurrection from the dead will neither marry nor be given in marriage. So there won't be marriage. I mean, God is not the God of, and I love the way Jesus ends this. He's not the God of the dead. He's the God of the living. He is the God of Abraham and Isaac and Jacob, because Moses even shows that the dead rise. Now, evidently in eternity, I will not be married. Hope I can still talk about being married to Hot Babe. We can say, hey, we had some good times down there, didn't we? I mean, I don't know. I'm hoping we still know each other. That's a whole different question, right? But I'm hoping that's okay. And so the teacher of the law responded, well said, and no one dares to ask him any more questions. That gets into a lot of things we don't have time to talk about this morning, honestly. What will we be like in the resurrection? I don't really know, to be honest with you. I will be in a resurrected, incorruptible, immortal body. And outside of that, I'm a little fuzzy about how it's all going to work out, right? But looking forward to it, whatever that looks like. So then you think it's unusual that Jesus turns around and says, oh, by the way, beware of the teachers of the law. Beware of those who walk around in flowing robes. I love his terminology. And they love to be greeted in the marketplaces. And they like to have the most important seats in the synagogues and the places of honor at banquets, and they devour widows' houses and make a show of lengthy prayers. And such men will be punished most severely. Now, was the problem on lengthy prayer? The problem was a show of lengthy prayer, that they were doing it for other people to see. Was the problem that they had a robe on? No, it was that they were doing it for show. I had a very humbling offer presented to me about a year ago. And I just want to tell you about it because it was a very humbling offer. So George Clark, who preached at the First Baptist Church in Pleasant View for years and years, he was a very dear friend of mine. George and I, we had he had a friendship with a lot of people, but he and I had a friendship that I really appreciated. And even when he was in the hospital before he passed away, I went up to the hospital to see him, and he was trying to get up and leave. I mean, he wasn't in his right mind, and he was trying to get out of the hospital bed to get up and leave. I had no idea any of that was going on. I showed up, and he looked at me when I walked in there and said, oh, so you're here to take me home? And I was like, no, I'm not here to take you home. And so through that process, I'm trying to tell him, hey, George, you've got to stay here. I mean, you can't get up and leave. No, you're going to take me home. No, I'm not taking you home. And we were going through this. So the nurse came in, and the nurse came in, and he said, you see this man right here? And she said, yeah. He said, we ought to hate each other. He is a Campbellite. And I said, well, George, you're nothing other than a Deepwater Baptist. I mean, it's what we called each other all the time. And he said, but we don't hate each other. We love each other like brothers, don't we? And I said, yeah, George, we do. So after George passed away, part of his family called and asked, very humbling thing, if I wanted, he had several robes that he had bought for ministry, and they wanted to give them to somebody who would use them. And she said, I thought of you first, and I want to know if you would like to have them. And I said, well, it's not that I wouldn't like to have them, but I'd give them to somebody who would use them because I'm just not in the habit of wearing a robe. Now, I don't think it'd be anything wrong with me wearing a robe if I wanted to, but it's just not the habit that I have. But it was very humbling that they even asked. So the issue here is not that they're wearing robes, it's that they're doing it to be seen. Why do they want the most important seat? so they can be recognized as the most important people. The ones who humble themselves will be exalted, and those who exalt themselves will be humbled. And as Jesus is, the thing that amazes me about this, you've got all of this conflict going on. You think Jesus would just turn around and walk away from it, right? But he doesn't. He knows that this conflict is going to mean that he is going to die on the cross. And he sees the rich putting their gifts in the temple treasury. And he saw a poor widow put in two very small copper coins. The word used there is about the smallest amount of money that you could have. In our world, I guess it would be a penny. Rich are putting in a lot of money. She puts in two small copper coins. Y'all know this. I don't have to read this. What does Jesus say? She gave all she had. When Jesus is looking at that gift, is Jesus looking at the gift of how many dollars it is or the condition of the heart? When Jesus looks at gifts now, does he look at how much it is or the condition of the heart? It's the heart. It's not about how much. Somebody can give a small amount with complete faith in God, and that gift is greater than somebody who gives a large amount that has no faith in God. It's not about the amount, it is about the condition of the heart. And it's not just about the condition of the heart when we give money, it's the condition of the heart when we do any kind of good deed. Are we doing it out of faith and trust in Jesus, or are we giving out of an abundance? They were giving out of abundance. She gave out of poverty. She gave all that she had to live on. I hate to talk about that too much because that's a very humbling passage to talk about. It causes for a lot of personal introspection, doesn't it, about trust and money, and it's why it's hard for a rich person to enter the kingdom of heaven. A lot of things go into that. But I'm trying to get you ready for Bible Bowl. Yes.
You're saying two copper coins, and New King James says two mites.
2 mites. Okay. It's a word that means it's like, Linda, the smallest amount of money you could have. That's why I said in our language, I guess it'd be a penny. I don't know in other cultures. I've not been in other cultures enough to know what the smallest amount of money is. But a mite. It's almost a nothing. Honestly, it's just such a small amount of money. Yes.
I think there's significance in that she put in 2 mites and it's all she had. Because this widow needed to eat. And you'd think she might have put in 1 mite and kept 1 mite back to just buy food. To me, it just shows a great trust in the Lord that he was going to provide for her needs.
Okay. If you couldn't hear that on the live stream, Dennis was just saying it's very interesting that she had 2 mites and she put in 2 mites. She didn't hold one back. That she didn't use the other mite to buy something to eat. If such a small amount of money, I'd have to look into that. And could you even buy anything to eat with a mite? But the fact that she had total trust in God, that she put both mites in there. I don't know if you've seen. I've just seen pictures and demonstrations of what the collection boxes in the temple would have looked like, and they're kind of made. They're kind of made like a shofar, like a ram's horn, where they kind of curl. Does that make sense? They kind of. How would you describe that? Somebody help me out. They kind of. Yeah, the bubble gum thing. Yeah, they kind of curl down there. Now, there's a couple of reasons for that. One is if it curls like that, somebody can't stick their arm down in there and get the money, okay? So it's a little safer when you do it that way.
Wasn't it also because you can hear the person?
Yeah. Jennifer saying, was it because you could hear the money? I don't know if it was designed that way to hear the money, but you could. You could. You put the money in there, clink, 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 clink. You know, it might think about totally different, but you might think of a collection plate. You know the sound of a collection plate when a kid drops it? You know, and the money goes everywhere. So, I mean, you could hear the money. So you just kind of think about, you know, did they sit there and listen to the clinkety clink, clinkety clink, 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 you know, and then she puts in her 2 little coins. But you could actually evidently hear the money as it went down. That would be, I mean, that'd be kind of an interesting thing, wouldn't it? I mean, I'm glad we don't do that at Clarksville Highway, but y'all got to give me some leverage to, you know, leadway here. That would kind of be interesting, like if there was a noise or something that went off on the collection plate when you put money in, you know, then we'd have to have one if you took money out, right? But if you put money in, it made a noise, and the more money you put in, the bigger the noise it made.
Like when you get paid from Venmo on your phone, it's like, you just got paid.
Okay. Well, Jennifer, I've never been paid by Venmo, but if I were, you know, okay.
Well, we're doing Tide online, so, you know, it has to have a different kind of.
Okay, yeah, so I guess if we did it online, we'd have these little noises that would happen when you give online. Bing, bing, so-and-so gave, you know, you got paid. So, again, I know that's way outside the box, right? You think through that. But the idea there is some people were just doing it for show. Some people were just doing it for show. And for Jesus, it's the attitude of the heart. And so that's all my fault, Reggie. Do you know how to fix that? Travis fixed it? Okay, so the reason I wasn't showing on the screen, just so you know, I put the wrong date in for the live stream. So I have to go into a computer program and tell it what day and what times we're live streaming. And I guess when I set this one up, when you set it up, it pops up a little calendar, and you pick the day that you're going to live stream, and evidently I picked the wrong day that I was going to live stream, so therefore there was no live stream to live stream to. So solve that mystery. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't a ghost. Oh, yeah, you have to pick if it's a.m. or p.m. And I've messed it up a bunch of times. Like I'll go in and say we're going to have Sunday morning worship at 8 p.m. and I'll mess it up and I have to go back and fix it. But if you're on the live stream and you get to see the first part, it's my fault. I take full responsibility. I'll do better next time. Or not. I may not do better. Okay. Hey, Bible Bowl team sign up. Miss Linda. Yes.
Before you sign out, explain 39 through 44. I'm not sure I understand that.
Which part?
Chapter 20, verse 39 through 44.
Chapter 20, 39 through 44. So, whose son is the Christ?
Yes. How can it be that Christ is David's son?
Because Christ is David's son because he's in the lineage of David. But David also recognized that the Messiah, I think, was going to come through his comments, criticisms, chastisements, otherwise words of rebuke, encouragement, or support. Then I'm done. Sign up for a Bible